Visitacion Valley Annual Community Meeting. Before we begin, our Cantonese interpreter will make a quick announcement for those requiring interpretation services.
Okay. 歡迎咧，你哋係參加今晚呢一個嘅會議Visitacion Valley Annual Meetings。咁今晚嘅會議咧，我哋會係提供呢一個嘅廣東話嘅即時傳譯服務嘅。咁如果咧你哋係需要聽呢一個翻譯嘅話咧，你哋咧就係可以喺你哋嗰個界面上邊咧就係睇到咧有一個嘅地球嘅公仔。咁喺嗰個地球個公仔嗰度咧，你點擊嗰個公仔就然後咧就係揀呢一個嘅中文 Chinese 咁樣樣咧，咁你就係去到呢一個嘅中文嗰個嘅房裏邊，咁你哋咧就會聽到呢一個嘅我哋廣東話嘅即時傳譯服務噶啦。多謝。Okay.
Great, thank you very much. So, good evening, everyone. My name is John Francis. Many of you will remember me from previous Viz Valley community meetings over the last 5 years when I was here representing the planning department. I wanted to let you all know that while I'm still with the city of San Francisco, I've actually transitioned to a different role at the Office of Economic and Workforce Development earlier this year. As such, I want to introduce my colleagues at the planning department, Lily Langlois and Leslie Valencia, who I know some of you already met. But they will be collaborating with you going forward to continue the vital planning work in Viz Valley. I and Jonathan Cherry at OEWD have coordinated closely with Leslie and Lily over the last few months to get them up to speed both on the Baylands North development and all of the impact fee prioritization work that we accomplished together since 2014. On a personal note, I just wanted to thank all of the community members here in the meeting tonight, and also those who couldn't make it tonight, for being truly wonderful collaborators over these last 5 years. Please do keep in touch. My email remains the same. And I should note that I will continue to be the point person from the city staff for implementation of the Blanket Underpass community mural, which Leslie will give an update on later in the presentation. And if you do have any additional questions about that, I'll leave my email in the meeting chat. Now, without further delay, I'd like to introduce Lily Langlois from the planning department. Thanks, everybody.
My name is Lily Langlois, and I am one of the managers in our community planning group at the planning department. We were last here before you in September of 2019 and are happy to be here today. The goal of today's meeting is to provide an update on the Baylands North development project, to provide updates on the impact fee projections, to share opportunities to give feedback on the project, and also to try our best to answer some of the questions that you might have. So this is the agenda for the meeting today. The planning department will first present an update on the impact fee projections and provide a status update of a number of projects in the neighborhood. Then the project sponsor will provide an update on the Baylands North development project, including the construction timeline and some details around the historic office building. And then we will conclude with Q&A. So before we begin, we want to go over a few items to help guide our conversation today. We're all learning new details around this virtual format. So please stay on mute during the presentation. We, as Leslie mentioned, will be recording the meeting portion of the presentation. Following the meeting, we will post a meeting summary, including the Q&A on the project website, and we will also send out an email with a link to the summary. Chinese interpretation is available if needed. Please note that you'll need to access this meeting through the web or the application to use this feature. Unfortunately, this feature is not available for those joining by phone. If you do not need interpretation, it is really important that you do nothing. You can keep the language interpretation feature off, or it may cause issues with sound. If you do need interpretation, please look for the world icon at the bottom of your screen. You should be able to select Chinese. If you are on a mobile device, you may have to select the 3 dots for more options, then language interpretation, and then select Chinese. This meeting will last about 90 minutes and we will end by 6:30. So I'd like to just start off for a moment to introduce the city staff that are joining us today for this meeting, as well as the project sponsor team. We will ask one person from each agency to introduce their team, and following the presentation, all of the city staff, as well as the project sponsor team, will be available to answer any of your questions. So we'll start off with Supervisor Walton's office. I know Natalie is here. Natalie, would you like to say hello?
Hey, this is Natalie from Supervisor Walton's office. Happy to be here and looking forward to the meeting.
Great, thanks so much. As I mentioned again, I'm Lily Langlois with the Planning Department, also by Leslie Valencia. Next, I'll hand it off to Judson with the Mayor's office.
Thank you, Lily, and good evening, everyone. In these strange circumstances, it's reminded me of what a difference a year makes from when we gathered in the library last year to hear the latest update from the team, now called Baylands. So again, my name is Judson True. I work for Mayor Breed on housing delivery issues, and I am joined tonight by my colleagues Robin Havens, who directs our implementation work overall, and by Jonathan Cherry, who's our project manager on the team, and works closely with a number of city departments and the project team on infrastructure issues and everything else related to the project. So good to be here tonight and look forward to the update and the questions from the community.
Great. I'll next hand it over to Brian with the Recreation and Parks Department.
Hi, my name's Brian. I'm a planner with the Recreation Parks Department, representing the department for the many projects that are going on in the McLaren Park area, right next to Visitacion Valley.
Thanks, Brian. And Tracy with the SFMTA.
Hi, thanks. I'm Tracy Lynn. I just wanted to introduce a couple upcoming SFMTA projects. I am going to be project managing the Visitacion Valley Community-Based Transportation Plan. So we'll be doing 3 rounds of outreach. The first round probably starting late summer, early fall next year. In the meantime, we'll be doing our homework and looking at existing conditions. And then we also have our traffic calming program that will be starting next spring also. The project manager for that one has yet to be identified, but we're working on that right now. And then I also have a colleague, Daniel Sheeter, who is here. He reviews development projects in District 10, so we'll be available to answer questions. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Tracy. So that's the city side, and now I'll hand it over to Greg to introduce the project sponsor team.
Okay, hi, I'm Greg Bilkin. I'm the CEO of Baylands Development. Formerly, UPC is still UPC, but we have set up a development entity which is separate and apart from owning different projects that we own. So Baylands Development is the same team you've all grown to know and hopefully love someday. But we are here to bring the project to fruition. With me is Giancarlo. Giancarlo, put your hand up. Giancarlo is our head of development. Eric Aronson. Eric is community relations, among other things. And then we have Luis. So Howard, everybody knows Howard. Howard is in charge of all of our infrastructure and environmental. I can't see who else on our team. Luis and Yvette are our community relations folks from Berg Davis, and they're the primary contacts. And I'm not sure if we have other folks from our team on. I don't see all the names.
We have Anthony and Michelle.
Anthony and Michelle, our design team. So thank you all for giving us the time today to update you on the project, and we're here to answer any questions.
Great, thanks so much, Greg. So I'll now hand it over to Leslie to give the planning department's update.
Hi, everyone. Bear with me while I share my screen once again. Can I get a thumbs up if you can see that? Great. So welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Leslie Valencia, and I have been with the planning department since January. I am the main point of contact on this plan on behalf of the planning department, the role previously held by John Francis. Thank you so much for kicking off the meeting, John. So what are impact fees? Many of you have probably heard this from previous meetings, but impact fees were created to capture the value created by development. With new development comes new fees that can be used to pay for capital improvements, including transit, streets, sidewalks, open space, and childcare. The amount and availability of funds depends on the timing of the development taking place. Impact fees can be collected on new development of a certain size for projects inside the blue area. Most of the development that will occur in this area is from two major projects highlighted in pink. This includes the Baylands North, also known as the Schlage site, and Executive Park. Money collected from impact fee funds can be spent on infrastructure improvements within the impact fee boundary shown by the shaded blue line on the map. The planning department develops projections to determine how much impact fees we might expect in the next 5 to 10 years. These projections help us plan with our partner agencies, including Rec and Park, SFMTA, and Public Works to fund future projects. We estimate there could be up to 12 million through 2026 and 28 million through 2031. But again, these are estimates and this amount will depend on the development taking place. As part of the Visitacion Valley / Schlage Plan community planning effort, we solicited community input to understand the priority projects to be funded with impact fees. There were a series of community meetings that took place from 2014 to 2017 to understand community priorities. Based on this feedback, a few projects were selected to move forward with implementation. While there has not been a significant amount of impact fee revenue collected, agencies have been successful in finding other revenue sources for moving these projects forward. Today, I will provide a brief status update on each project, many of which you may be familiar with and have engaged on. Representatives from Rec and Park and SFMTA will then be available to answer more specific questions during our Q&A. So many of you played a major role in the artist selection and community design process for the BLANKEN Underpass community mural that took place last year. A couple of months ago, the SF Arts Commission approved the design, and the design is now under review by Caltrans, a process that we think may take up to 6 months. The installation is estimated to occur in spring or early summer of 2021. The Visitacion Avenue McLaren Park Connector project includes new sidewalks, bicycle safety improvements, and traffic calming measures. The Recreation and Parks Department is also moving forward with community outreach and expects to have a design in spring/summer of 2021. The Recreation and Parks Department has also been moving forward with the scope for a new trail alignment on the east side of Visitacion Avenue between Hahn Street and Visitacion Valley Middle School. We know this project has been of high priority as it will connect a few open spaces, including the community garden, rain garden, and native plant garden. Design is scheduled for the winter with construction expected to begin in spring of 2021. And the Visitacion Avenue Connector Trailhead Crossing will improve safety and access to McLaren Park from the Visitacion Valley Middle School. And construction for this project is expected in early 2021. And lastly, the Recreation and Parks Department led a series of community workshops last year to get input on the playground design for the Hertz Playground renovation. The final design was presented at a virtual workshop this October 13, and questions about this project can be directed to the project manager, Alexis Ward, at alexis.ward@sfgov.org. Now I will turn it over to Greg with Baylands Development, Inc., who will give an update on the Baylands North Development Project. Thank you very much for your time and attention this evening.
Thank you. Okay, so Okay, Luis, you're going to drive that?
Yes, just give me 1 second to get everything up.
Thank you.
A little glitchy.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. So we are happy to talk to you again about where we are. It's been 2020 has been an interesting year. We have not made a ton of progress, and at the same time, we've made a lot of progress. So certain things, like for example, we started construction on the historic building, and that has not been deterred other than for a couple of weeks while we were shut down for COVID. But that is where we've been able to continue forward. So as Baylands North is what was called Visitacion Valley, the overall project for us is called the Baylands, and it includes several holdings we have, both Visitacion Valley, our executive park holdings, which are across the freeway, and then we also have the Brisbane Baylands and parcels at Sierra Point, which is further south. We've renamed all of that into the Baylands, and we have one large project that at full build out will be 5,500 units and 8.5 million square feet of commercial space. So the first phase of this, oops.
Sorry.
Okay. So the first phase you've seen before, and it starts with the renovation of the historic building. We've been under renovation on the historic building since, when did we start that?
The beginning of a year.
Yeah, so the beginning of the year. We will complete it in March of this coming year, and it is well on its way. We will have spent about $10 million renovating the building, and it was a little more damaged than we thought, but we've replaced everything pursuant to the historic architect's requirements. And we're in the process of getting ready to paint the building now. You can see on the front that there are 7 different paint colors on there, and we've settled on a mix of the 2 that are on the right-hand side of the building. But so that's moving along. That's the first thing to be done. And then the second thing are the buildings on parcel 1, parcel 2, parcel 3, and the 2 parks. So can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, so this is what we're talking about. The historic building will be complete, and then we will next start parcel 1, parcel 2, parcel 3, Leland Park, and Visitacion Park, all as one phase, is our intention. And it says here that Leland Park will be with parcel 2, and then Vis will deliver with parcel 3. But all of that will be delivered as soon as we can. The reason I'm saying that is we have run into the COVID issues here where, San Francisco has 15% plus vacancy and rents are down over 30% versus a year ago. And until that stabilizes, there is no financing available to build a new project. We're hoping that stabilizes by next summer. We think that would be the earliest that it could happen. And that's assuming we get a vaccine and it starts to be readily available next year. But we'll keep you updated on when that kind of rectifies. And it is not just affecting us, it is affecting everyone in the city who is trying to start new development. That has not dampened our enthusiasm or our commitment to doing the project. We are absolutely moving forward, and the first thing we could control and do is the historic building. So that will be completed on schedule, and then our intention at this point is to move into the building ourselves and occupy it. So phase 1 timeline, you'll see coming in first quarter of 2021 is the completion of the historic building. We also have the community space outreach where we have dedicated the first floor of the building for community space. We have installed an elevator that is accessible from the outside so that no one needs to come into our space to try and use the community space, for example, for after hours. So it will be available when the building is up and operating, which is going to be by summer of 2021. So we need to start a process with the community about what that space should be and how the community wants to occupy it, but it will be ready to go. Second piece of that is we intend to start a community mural project. And we've got a number of comments of when are we going to take down that ratted netted fencing. And we intend to take that down soon and replace it with a hard build barricade that will run the first 600 feet, which is from the historic building down to Leland Avenue and then turn in at Leland Avenue. And what that will do is give us an opportunity for the 594 feet of 8-foot high barricade to be painted into a mural. Our intent is to supply all of the materials and supply professional muralists to work with the community to come up with how that should look, what it should be, and then we'll work with the community to install it. Okay, so that's something, again, it's a community project that we're happy to support and put together the money and resources for, but it'll be a community-led project and hope to start that in the summer of 2021. The first phase and the continued construction of the infrastructure is TBD for when we see the construction markets returning, construction loan markets returning. And our intention is 9 months before we're ready to go vertical, we will restart the horizontal so that we complete that work by the time we go vertical. Our original intention was that we were going to be doing that work now and then start going vertical in 2021. And as we know with COVID, that is all now just to be TBD. Okay, next slide, please. Okay.
This is where,
yep, go ahead.
This is where we're going to show a short video.
Hi, I'm Giancarlo with BDI Development. We are here at 2201 Bayshore Boulevard. This is the former Schlage historic building that we are rehabilitating for our own offices. Let's go have a tour. Here we are on the level 1 ground floor of a historic building. We envisioned this as a community space. We designed it in such a way that it's open so that we can be responsive to the community needs.
I'm Paul Hibbard. I'm from M. Moser Associates. We're the exterior core and shell contractor and the interior design builder. Some of the key elements that we had to upgrade was install some new structural elements in order to bring it up to the current code cycle that we need to. Additionally, especially thinking about the future uses of the space, going in and providing new facilities as restrooms, a pantry, and power and data throughout. Here we are on the 3rd floor. This is going to be the main office floor for the space. Here we're going to obviously have the reception desk. There's going to be a pretty spectacular green wall behind it. Also, we're going to have a media wall that's going to be on display to show ongoing things that are happening with the development. Another important feature is the fact that this is going to be the office for BDI. Here we've also provide resources for them, such as a large conference room to welcome the community and other people coming in, as well as support office spaces to work with the ongoing development. We repurposed an old vault to service as some infrastructure for the building. Cut that open, opened it up. Additionally, you can see where the elevator is coming up right now, servicing all the floors as well as the street level. It's a new infrastructure upgrade that we did for the building to provide accessibility for everyone. Here we are up on the roof of the building. This is one of the unique challenges to rehabilitating this building. We needed to repair it and basically restore it back to kind of its original look. Some of the things that we had to do was first take all the existing tiles off the roof, salvage any existing pieces that were not broken or damaged, come back in, lay over new waterproofing throughout, and then come back and replace the tile back in place. About 50% were not able to be salvaged and placed back on the roof. Therefore, we had to go out to the community, work with local resources to source other tile that had been manufactured and used during construction at the same time, brought those sources on site, matched them up with our tiles, and feathered them into the roof. Here we are looking at the south face of the building. It will be the future location where it interfaces as the community comes in on that first floor. There's some significant challenges on this side of the building, especially with so much southern exposure. There was a significant amount of damage on the south wall, especially around the windows and we've sourced new windows to come in and to mimic the original historic windows that we have on the front of the building.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the tour. We got a lot of work to do, but we're just getting started.
Great. Greg, I was going to take it from here if you're okay with that.
Please go ahead, Eric.
Great. So thanks for watching, everyone. That video we shot last week at the site. Giancarlo, our star here, was very helpful. I also added a link to that video in the chat. So if anyone wants to see it with less lag and a little more clear audio, it's available in the chat. So as you can see, we have been hard at work restoring the historic office building. We're excited to move to Visitacion Valley and call it our new home. Even though the move is just a short distance from our existing offices, we believe our presence in the community will allow us to engage more with local residents and local businesses as we move the project forward. Community space. In the hard hat tour, you saw the area we have designated for community uses. A lot of effort and cost has gone into making this space safe, accessible, and flexible. The ground floor is approximately 4,000 square feet and will be prepared to hand over to the community when the time comes. As far as how the space will be used, that's for you to decide. Our first quarterly newsletter from September included a survey. The results so far I would like to share. Next slide. So far, we have received 68 responses to our survey. The three uses receiving the most votes were general events, community meetings, and arts and culture. As you can see, it's very close. In terms of what's most needed in the neighborhood, people were split between activity space for seniors as well as activity space for children and youth, with 40 respondents each. Next is street naming, which we also surveyed in our newsletter. So far we have so far seen a majority of people choosing local history as inspiration for street names, and barring any swing in the vote, we look forward to brainstorming with the community on names for the streets connecting the new community with the existing one. We thank those of you who have completed the survey. We appreciate everyone's opinion, but the survey is still available and we'd be interested in seeing anyone's opinion that hasn't already expressed one. You can either use what I've posted in the link. I posted a link in the chat, which will take you directly to that survey. You can also go to the newsletter by visiting our website, bdisf.com, where there's another link available. Next slide. Community art. So Greg did touch on this already, so there isn't much more to say there, but we do need the help of the community to make this art program successful. So in the coming months, through our newsletters, we will be keeping you updated on the progress that we're making and hopefully collecting some more interest so we can go forward in 2021 with that program. Next slide. Graffiti task force. So we have become acutely aware of this type of vandalism over the past several months. A group of youth volunteers and I have been going out to address this issue along Bayshore repeatedly. Ahead of any formal art program, we want to see this issue start to diminish. For this to happen, we need help. If interest in joining a newly formed Visitacion Valley Graffiti Watch program is of interest to you, you can either email me directly or you can send an email to info@bdisf.com. Our first official outing will occur before the end of the year, once more interest is gathered. The area we will cover is quite expansive, including Bayshore, Leland Avenue, Blanken Avenue, and Tunnel Avenue, so we need all the help we can get. We want to thank San Francisco Public Works Department, who will be supplying the equipment for this, as well as our company, who will be supporting the program by supplying refreshments for those who participate. Again, please email info@bdisf.com. You can leave a message for us directly, or you can email me directly, and we'd be happy to add you to the list. Next slide. So tonight you've heard from Greg, Giancarlo, and myself, all from Baylands Development. We've also heard a little bit from Luis from Berg Davis, along with his colleague, along with his colleague Yvette, who we'd like to thank for their support. You see their contact information there. Next slide. And then as far as just community engagement, we mentioned the September newsletter that's available. You can see it again if you haven't already. It's on bdisf.com. Our next newsletter will come out in December, which will discuss more about the community space and the naming survey for the streets. And then just wanted to mention again that we did launch a new website, bdisf.com. The phase 2 of that updated website will come soon, where you'll see a project area, an area dedicated to the Baylands North project and the Baylands North community engagement efforts. So that's it.
Great. Thank you, Eric. So everyone, we're getting ready to start the questions and answers portion of this meeting. I'm sure we're all at this point used to using Zoom and participating in public comment using Zoom. But in any case, before we move forward, I'm just going to run you through a few basic suggestions. So we're going to manage the public comment portion, asking people to raise their hand by using the Zoom hand raise function. Everyone will be muted until they are called on to speak. When you are called on to speak, please share your name and the first time you speak. You can also enter your comments into the chat function. Questions will be read and answered aloud. We'll be going back and forth between chat and raise your hand. Also, you can email Leslie Valencia at leslie.valencia@sfgov.org. Leslie can put you in touch with all of the team. So that's the one email address you really need to remember. And then how to use the functions. If you're using the app on your phone or a device, if you go to the participants at the bottom of the screen, as you can see in this image, you see the hand icon next to your name or at the bottom of the participants list. And then you just click on the hand. If you need to see you may need to scroll further down to see your name. If you're using the web, the hand icon is located at the bottom of the screen to the right. And then finally, if you are calling in on a phone, you would need to press *9 to raise hand and *6 to mute or unmute yourself. And I think with that being said, I am going to stop sharing my screen and I am going to open this up to questions and answers. I'm going to start with a few questions that were submitted to us before the meeting.